The next section I want to talk about is poverty. It's in chapter 7 as well, page 172 and 173. Um, there's there's a big section on poverty. I'd like for you to read through it. I'd like for you to get familiar with it. I'd like for you to know about it. Because I can tell you this is going to be probably the majority of where you all will be teaching. 9 out of the 11 schools in Hamilton County are considered Title I school, which means that there is a high number of free and reduced lunch students. So I want you to read all you can on ways to um, help students who are in poverty achieve academically, because they usually don't have a big source of help at home even. So, poverty. The 2012 federal guidelines set the threshold at an annual income of $23,050 for a family of four. Four people in the family being raised on a little over $23,000. Now, these poverty thresholds are set at about half the income needed to meet basic needs for housing, food, child care, transportation. As a result, many families are above the poverty level but still do not have an adequate income to purchase their basic needs. Many members of these low income families work in full or part time jobs that pay such low wages that they cannot pull their families out of poverty. So they can't even make enough. Even though they're working, they can't make enough to pay for the basic needs. Now, there's where we go into an issue in itself. Sometimes what we consider a basic need may be part of the problem. I remember Hannah coming home one time at Christmas time and wanting us to. And she had a friend who wasn't going to get anything for Christmas. The friend said, and so she asked if we could help the family out. And we've done things like that on and off. Ever since the kids have been born, we realize we've been blessed as a family. So we met her parents, or ran into her parents at a sporting event. The dad had tattoos all over his arms. They both were smoking cigarettes. They both had smartphones. We didn't even have smartphones. So it's basic needs, and what we consider needs and wants sometimes is where the line gets confused. In 2009, 43.6 million people and 8 million families earned incomes below the poverty level threshold. That's a huge number. A number that scares me right now as a society, because how are our children, how will your children help the society continue to work when there's fewer of us, it appears, to be working than those that's under the poverty level. The percent of blacks and Hispanics in poverty is double that of whites, which is at 12%. The differences in poverty levels among groups are due to education, incomes, and employment, which are affected by a history of discrimination against some groups. This is where I feel like we're going to have to change the trend. We have got to get our future citizens better prepared for the workforce, and encourage them. As a teacher, you want to say, when you get a job, not if you get a job, when you get a job, when you get a job. Over 1 in 5 U.S. children were born in poverty in 2010. 1 in 5. Over 1 in 5. That's an unbelievable number. The percent of U.S. children in poverty is almost double that of most other major industrialized nations. That's a scary thought as well. Another 22% of the nation's children live in low-income families above the federal poverty level. Thus, 44% of our children live in low-income families. So we have poverty, and then we have a low-income family, often making them eligible for free reduced price lunches in schools and special academic programs. As with adults, Hispanic, American Indian, and African American children are more likely than other children to live in poverty. These numbers are it's just an eye-opener for me. Children under the age of 6 are more likely to live in low-income families than older children. And programs that help parents develop their parenting skills have also found to improve the academic achievement of students who are suffering from the harsh economic conditions in which their families live. Education programs including early Head Start, and preschools for 3 and 4-year-olds are being offered by a growing number of schools with low-income students. And so we're trying our best to get those the students who are coming in as poverty struggle in the classroom. Seems more so than our regular ed kids. So setting up these programs to where we can intervene with them early on seems to help in some instances. This is just scary numbers for me. And if you've not been out in our area, we kind of sometimes live in what seems to be a bubble, not realizing actually what's happening in the real world. I remember just a few years ago we were at Hillcrest. We had adopted Hillcrest for the semester. STEA had for the year, and we had taken over supplies. And when I called to see what they needed, some of the things they said was clothes. And at that time, the economy had just taken a plunge downward. And Hillcrest was telling me that they had 80%, 90% of their student body was listed as poverty. Some kids were sleeping in their cars, in tents at Cherokee Park, all kinds of things. And Hillcrest is just, as the crow flies, a half a mile from my house, and I didn't realize that poverty was hitting that hard. Take a drive out into your neighborhoods. Lend an ear and let people hear. Listen to what they have to say about how they're surviving. I think we all may be surprised, and I feel very blessed today.